I remember very well the conversation you and I had when I mentioned that having children pushed me very much out of my selfishness. And I suggested at that time that I felt that I was quite spiritually developed thanks to my children because I was so unselfish as a mother, sacrificing myself every day to my 3 children. And your reaction at the time really surprised me because you basically said, oh, that's actually a very low level of spiritual development. And we argued a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is exactly when you gave me that book, Vedanta,
Yes.
which of course describes different levels of spiritual growth very, very well. But I'd love you to talk about it.
So, I mean, would you have the same attitude if they weren't your kids?
The same attitude.
If it's someone else's child, would you do the same thing for someone else's child?
No.
Right. So it's the mindness in it, right?
Yeah.
And it's that mindness which is the selfishness. It's me, my family, my kids, my house, my business. That's within your sphere. The idea is doing something outside of yourself, outside of your self-centered interest. So things that don't have the my attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, holding the door open for somebody, letting someone go in traffic. You know, those small things that you can do, which has no benefit to you whatsoever. You know, and so that's why I think if you're doing something for yourself or you're doing something for your child, it's really you're doing it for yourself. It's just a version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said to me, you know, that it's basically I care for them more than I care for myself. So it's just a version of you personified in another form, you know. So obviously it's great, but your home should be the center of your affection, not the boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So start with yourself, make sure you're okay, make sure your family are okay. And then how do we expand that? How do we look at the community? How do we look at the country? How do we look at civilization? How do we look at all living beings? You know, like how do we keep evolving our eccentric circles? That's why, you know, I I said that to you at the time. But so in the Gita he talks about different levels of charity. It's great. Charity is great. Like even the lowest level is the best. Is great, better than no charity. But the lowest form is economic, right? So writing a check. So I can write a check to a charity. Yes, it hurts. You know, for 5 minutes, but it's okay, right? Then a little higher than that is physical. So I could help you move house. If I come and help you actually physically move, that's higher. Higher than that is emotional. So being there for someone, giving them emotional support. Higher than emotional is intellectual. So helping, as they say, you know, teach a man to fish. So actually applying yourself intellectually. But he says the highest actually is self-development. Why? So if you develop yourself, every situation you come into, every decision you make is going to be for the betterment of other people. So that's the sort of the ladder of charity.
So it's okay to act in self-interest because that benefits the rest of us.
It's about getting self-knowledge, right? So self-development. If I'm strong physically, then other people, I'm not a burden on other people, right? If they tell you when you get on the airplane, put your mask on first even before the children. It's important. You have to you have to make sure you're okay, you feel full, and then you can give and you can serve.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to understand your true nature, have these values, understand yourself, have the correct way of thinking, and then for the benefit of others, ultimately.